Show you guys a trick here with exporting out IGES files. After you've done some feature content or done a measurement session and you need to IGES that file back out so that your people can pull it into their CAD system, whether it be Pro-E or SolidWorks or Unigraphics or any other CAD package for that matter, IGES format for an export usually works pretty great coming out of the Faro system. So we do promote that. But before you export out, there's one thing that needs to be done prior to the exporting of these features. Well, let me tell you what I've got here. It's just an armor plate that was reverse engineered. It was kind of hand carved out to make it fit wherever it needed to go. And there was a hole pattern on there that was used to mount this plate onto the piece that it was mounting to. And I put some line content on there and some points just to track the geometry. And I also put it into its own little local coordinate system here. So, okay, I think that's good content. That's exactly what my client needed for this. So I was going to hand off the file that's called the IGES. So I would go to File, Export CAD, and then I will call this the armor plate. Okay, then it sends that armor plate out. Now, one thing I was alerted to from this client, or from other clients too, that I forgot to do this switch on, was the circular content and the holes that were in this file did not come through. And I'm going to step down here and I'm just going to pull up Rhino. I've got Rhino here for just checking out these files. What I did want to show you is I will read that file in there quick a second and I will show you guys what content actually comes through. I just go ahead and do a file open here. Got IGES here as my selection, the type of file I want to pull. Here's my armor plate. Notice when I pull that content in this top view, look what I get. I've got the outline here and all the points that came out associated with those corners. I've got all the point content that was where the circles were and the plane. Of course, I've got the big flat plane underneath that I used to sketch all of my entities too. But notice I do not have any hole content. So if I zoom in a little bit, I've just got points here. Points where the circles are supposed to be. All right, so let's go back over to CAM2 and take a look. Yep, they're in my file, so why didn't they export out? All right, well, here's the trick. You guys have to first go to the View pull-down menu. Go to the Read-Write options. Here's where all the options for the translator, for the IGES, or for the STEP or the VDA happen. What we usually do is we go to the Export, and then IGES Polyline Data. The default for that is Yes. So what we usually do is take that and make it a No. Then we say OK. Now let me go try and export this out again. Export the CAD. I'll overwrite this file that's already out there. So, yep, that's OK. Let's replace it. And then I'll go back to Rhino here a second, and then I'll just open this file again. Say no to that. There it is. Armor plate IGES file. All right, that looks a little bit more like the file that I was working with. I had some circle content in there. So now they're part of the export for the IGES file. I've got all of that content in there. All right, I'll run back to CAM2 here a second. And then again, just make sure that when you IGES out, always make sure you go to the View, Read-Write options, and then under the IGES export. The default that Faro has in the system for 4.0 is this IGES Polyline Data is usually set to Yes, but it needs to be set to No, and then that will take care of it. So, and this preference does not stick. If you did do this and save it to your preferences, the next time you load up your model or your session of CAM2, that value will always remain Yes. So just remember that for every time that you have to go out and you do an export of an IGES file, that will end up having to be switched. And then your IGES will come through exactly like you see it on your screen in your SAT file. So say I've got my value changed here to No for the IGES Polyline Data. Say I wanted to save that. That's usually what you would click here, save, to your default settings, and say save to that. Sure, I'll overwrite that because I love this change. I would like that change to exist every time when I pull up a fresh SAT file. So then I say OK to that. Now I'll back out of CAM2, say this session was done, my client got exactly the data they were needing, and then maybe I go to another client or I do another measurement session where I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to export out an IGES file of a quick part that we just did some reverse engineering on. So I'll fire up CAM2 here again a second. And I've made that change in my read-write options so that my IGES Polyline data was set to no. And let's go back there and I'll show you what happens here. So if I was back at read-write options, IGES export, notice that the IGES Polyline data jumps back to the value for yes. So again, every time you guys are going to do a reverse engineering project or send that data out, that has to be switched to no because it doesn't save as one of the default settings. So just make a note of that, and every time that you're doing it, make sure that you will actually look at your IGES file, whether you use Rhino or you could even pull it right back into CAM2 as an IGES file just to check if that circle content has made it out. In fact, I'll show you that here quick a second. If I was just to do a file import CAD and went to my temporary IGES, if I pull that in, okay, here is the IGES file of that part that I sent out, and you can notice that the circle content is in there. So just make sure that when you do the export, that value is set to no, and to double check yourself, either pull it into your CAD package or pull it into CAM2 again as an IGES file just to make sure.